If you've seen this, it means that you have received my message. I need your help. It's not constant that this message reaches you. You have the VR gear, which means you can access the simulation. We don't have much time. The name is called VR. Look for it. Once inside, I will be able to establish live communication with you. You may be the only hope for hitting this, so...
Over the years, some of my favorite games have always been ones that allow for the manipulation of time in some way. And in 2001, with the release of Max Payne from Remedy Entertainment, everything changed. Suddenly we were given the ability to run into rooms filled with enemies and bullets ablaze, while using our newfound abilities to seamlessly slow down time at the touch of a button, all creating a slow motion ballet of pure carnage. And needless to say, this was a game changer for the action game genre, and thus bullet time was born. Now, since bullet time was the new craze in game mechanics at the time, in the lead up to the launch of VR as a consumer platform, we saw several other gaming franchises incorporating some form of this new time manipulation technique into their titles as well. And in 2016, a new variant even made its way into what is considered to be one of the premier classic virtual reality gaming experiences, and that's Superhot VR. Okay, so let's get this out of the way up front. It's almost impossible to talk about Cold VR without comparing it to Superhot. And while it's true that both games share a similar time manipulation mechanic, I have to say that they approach it in fundamentally different ways. In Superhot VR, time moves when players do, giving them the ability to plan their next moves in order to outwit enemies. So this take on the time manipulation mechanic creates a strategic and almost puzzle-like experience that ultimately rewards players for careful planning and precision strikes. In Cold VR, however, the mechanic is reversed and time progresses only at full speed when movement stops, causing players to have to think on their feet in order to react quickly to the ever-changing environment around them. This constant need for locomotion serves to create a more chaotic and adrenaline-fueled style of gameplay that's challenging and also makes you feel like a badass digital version of John Wick. Now, one thing that always seems to make a game stand out for me is when it has some level of story, especially when it's in VR. I like my virtual excursions to have a narrative that I can lose myself in, because having this element somehow adds depth to these games, providing a connection that just makes these adventures feel more real to me. With that in mind, I'm happy to say that Cold VR isn't just about gameplay mechanics, it also presents a cool blend of high-quality live-action video sequences, coupled with in-game storytelling that puts players in the middle of an adventure that will ultimately determine the fate of humanity. As for the overall look and feel of Cold VR, it's clear that Allware has paid great attention to detail when building every level. From the intricate design of the enemy AI down to the subtle environmental cues that will help with guiding players' forward progress, it all comes together perfectly and complements the game's tense atmosphere. The graphics in Cold VR looked great, and they feature a sleek and modern aesthetic filled full of advanced lighting effects, dynamic shadows, and reflections that are all set against a backdrop painted in a vibrant neon-draped color palette that focuses on blues and whites in order to create the game's futuristic and icy atmosphere. Sound design in Cold VR is also nice, with pumping techno tracks amping up the mayhem while bullets whizzed past my head and the sounds of glass enemies shattering surrounded me. Overall, everything just worked great together to create a pleasing auditory and visual experience. Now, with all this fast-paced movement going on, I know some folks are probably wondering about the comfort levels in this one. Considering this is a game that's played from a first-person perspective and it does have some fast-paced movement, I would say that those without strong VR legs might experience some discomfort, but of course that is subjective per person. Now, for the increased immersion it brings, and for a little bit of help with discomfort, I do find it best to play this one standing. And as for locomotion options in the game, well, in this early demo, players either have the option of snap turning on by default or just by turning with their own bodies. There were no other options to be found in the early demo build, so for players who need or want or prefer to play the game seated, hopefully Allware will consider adding a smooth turning option when the game officially launches. So overall, it looks like the currently available demo for ColdVR on Steam already offers a glimpse into an exciting and well-executed upcoming game, and while it's pretty obvious this is basically Superhot in reverse, we feel that there's enough new and different here to say that ColdVR stands on its own merits. Currently, on the Steam page, the full game is listed as coming soon, so hopefully we'll see a full release before the anticipation for more ColdVR melts away. Don't forget to check out the article covering this game on UploadVR.com, and as always, please consider becoming a member to support our work directly.